This is a fight I hadn't seen before, and so now that I have, I must issue a forewarning. This is mainly for die-hard Buster Douglas fans, if there is anyone who fits that profile. This bout showcases why many critics held Douglas in such low regard at the time. He has all the physical tools, but lacks the heart and drive to fully commit to the sport. His lack of conditioning and defeated body language, especially in the later rounds, is evident as he refuses to assert himself in the match. His opponent here is Dave Bigfoot Johnson. While BoxRec lists him at 6'4", he appears a bit taller. If Douglas is 6'4", then Bigfoot is closer to 6'6", I would say. Johnson became a trial horse early in his career and seemed content with that role, having lost to rising heavyweight contenders like Ronaldo Snipes, Greg Page, and Tim Witherspoon. Boxing was more of a side hustle for him, as he worked as an auto body repairman, but his size, durability, and awkward stance made him a tough fighter to look good against. Heading into this fight, Bigfoot had lost 10 straight bouts, so Douglas might have expected an easy night. Instead, his Bigfoot sighting turned out to be a night of frustration.
And here we come. That is Buster in the green trunks, Bigfoot Johnson in the white. Buster Douglas, as we mentioned, with an impressive record. One loss record anyway of 16-1-1, 13 of those by knockouts. And Bigfoot Johnson 13-13 but 5 KOs. But hey, if you look at who the Bigfoot is stomped in there against, he has taken on just about everybody that's in the top 10, save for Larry Holmes himself.
As I've been compiling my records, I don't have Bigfoot Johnson winning a fight since back on make it May 17th, 1979. After that, he ran into some hard luck. He went over to Africa and lost to big Jimmy Abbott. He was stopped in the third round. Hasn't won a fight since then. I've got him losing 10 fights in a row. But he's an opponent, and he's a tough opponent. He hangs in there.
We're talking about Bigfoot Johnson in the white, Buster Douglas, I would guess, and I mean this kindly, kind of a puffed up version of his father, Billy Dynamite.
Well, Billy fought as a middleweight and then later on a light heavyweight contender. I saw him fight at Madison Square Garden, some incredible action. I felt guilty getting a free press pass. I wanted to pay for the fight. Buster has quick hands. Buster in the green trunks. He's got quick hands, good jab, very decent power.
This fight videotaped earlier tonight, scheduled for 10 rounds. Round number 2, Zach Clayton, your official, in the center of the ring. Buster Douglas has fought almost exclusively in the Midwest. He's had a couple of visits to Atlantic City. They only began recently in 1983, but prior to that, fighting a great deal in his hometown of Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, Toledo, that area, and you don't really find a great level of competition out there, do you?
Not at all. Not at all. As a matter of fact, out in Columbus, Ohio, where Douglas comes from, there's a bunch of fighters with losing records. I call them the Columbus Cooler Gang. And I mean, they are cool. Ice cold.
One of the better ones, of course, is young Douglas.
Buster has a hard jab that I think he should use more than he does. He has some good movement. Most heavyweights don't know how to slip a punch. He's moving those shoulders very nice. He's hard to hit with a single jab. What Johnson should do is start putting the jabs together, putting 2, 3, 4 of them out, and a right hand behind it. It's a fight that he didn't win. It was April 11th, 1981, when he fought terrible Tim Witherspoon, a man who's walking around saying, "I'm the heavyweight champ of the world. I beat Larry Holmes." Well, I was at ringside in Las Vegas. I don't think he beat Larry Holmes. But when Dave Bigfoot Johnson fought Witherspoon 2 years ago, it was a close decision. 8 rounds. Witherspoon was awarded the decision. Johnson said, "I'd like terrible Tim one more time."
Now keep in mind that Douglas, who lands a good right uppercut there, is considered by a lot of people to be a hot property, and there are a lot of big-name promoters who are trying to get Mr. Douglas to move out of the Columbus area and move into areas such as Atlantic City, where he'll be fighting more regularly and against better competition.
That's the only way a fighter can learn. I think if Jerry Cooney had fought better competition the night he stepped in to fight Larry Holmes in June 1982. He just might have beaten Larry Holmes, but some of that early opposition was very, very weak, and Jerry never learned by it. Same with Buster Douglas. He's got to get in there against guys of this caliber like Johnson, and better than that.
Fighter to take on, because look at him. He doesn't really move in and make you do anything. He's kind of a reactor and not a very active reactor.
Get him right.
He knows what he's doing. He knows how to defend himself in the ring, and as I called him earlier, he is a survivor. Back in February, he took on undefeated Joe Thomas. Everybody's talking about this heavyweight out of New Jersey, and Joe Thomas was expected to just blow Johnson away. And you know what? It was a tough fight for Joe Thomas. He narrowly won an 8-round decision because Johnson knows his way around the big rings of Atlantic City.
Thomas, one of the young prospects.
If the date rings a bell, it should. It was the undercard to Larry Holmes' title defense against Ronaldo Mrs. Snipes, the day that Snipes sent Holmes down with a big right hand. On that undercard, James Douglas fought David Bay, who's now in ring's top 15, and Bay stopped Douglas in the second round. You'll get a different story from Billy Douglas. He said it was a no contest. I was there. It looked to me like Buster might have quit. He got hurt and quit, but it'll be a nice rematch anyway.
Johnson throwing one punch at a time, and Douglas easily able to dodge away. Let's use in that size, I would imagine. We see him in there, what looks to be a kind of a combination shoe that you might find even on a basketball court.
A slight swelling now under the left eye of Bigfoot Johnson. That's courtesy of so many of those combinations that have been sneaking through.
Scheduled 10-rounder.
Johnson looking for that baby fat of Buster Douglas with a couple of hooks. He should be doing more of that. Neither guy is a very good inside fighter. Right there, both guys had their opportunity to do some inside work. They decided not to. Much a bit.
Greg Page, however, did KO this man in 6.
Bigfoot
and
told me
that's
that.
Where we are now.
Bigfoot told me Greg Page thumbed me in that fight. That's what happened. That, I don't know.
A right uppercut partially lands there by Johnson. And Johnson digs away at the body, so the action heats up a little bit here in the 6th round.
Bigfoot Johnson had an interesting story before. He fought Greg Page on October 2nd, 1980. And all he had on his mind was that one of his favorite fighters was fighting that night in Las Vegas. A guy by the name of Muhammad Ali was fighting Larry Holmes. But Ali, although is one of his favorite fighters, Larry Holmes is his favorite fighter. He said, I didn't have my mind on Greg Page. I just wanted to get back to the dressing room and watch the Holmes-Ali fight.
You can watch these two guys and get an appreciation for how great a fighter Ali was. He could stay in there with both of those guys tonight and not get hit with a punch.
7 times, and this year already. This is his 5th fight. Very active fighter. I just think he should do a bit more gym work, floor work, sit-ups.
7th round. Neither fighter so far wanting to start anything, waiting for the other guy to make the move. There's a nice left hand by Johnson, but he will not follow it up. He'll kind of just drift away.
Last April, I saw James Buster Douglas right here in Atlantic City take out Henry Porter with a bomb of a right hand in round number 2. Showed me the man can punch.
Buster shielding away KO Becky O'Neill right now. She's sitting there at ringside. Of course, one arm could shield away KO Becky.
Jim, I was about to say, I could shield out KO Becky. KO Becky, of course, the manager of World Bantamweight champion Jeff Chandler, who happens to be the cover boy this month of Ring Magazine. Jeff is moving on up into the featherweight division, wants to test out the fighters over there, see if he can take himself another title. I think he should stay where he is.
See. Eighth round. Will one of these guys get mad and heat up? Let's see.
Well, Buster Douglas in the green trunks has some impressive numbers. 16 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 13 knockouts, and is he in trouble? Both guys look clear.
Punches being thrown here.
Do I detect some anger on the part of both guys now?
A mild flurry.
I think if this is scheduled for not just 10 rounds, 12 rounds or 15 rounds, these guys would do this all night long. Lead right hand by Buster fell short by about half.
The final minute of this 8th round. And a busy Zach Clayton parting the fighters once more.
These guys are showing about as much anger as a cobra at a mongoose convention. No anger at all. No willing to mix it up at all. I'm looking forward to seeing Buster Douglas again to see if he has learned from this fight. I'm sure Papa Billy's going to take him back and say, where's that left jab? Let's go over the tape for this. Where's the jab? Where's the combinations?
He wants to keep him busy. He said that, and he wants to move him here to the Atlantic City area where he can get the kind of attention. If we see one here based on what we've seen through 9 rounds, after the Fletchers dominated the show, we're now watching Buster Douglas and Bigfoot Johnson go at it. Bigfoot on the left, Douglas on the right in the dark trunks. Their final round, what has to be a fairly close fight in that neither fighter has been able to outdo the other. And neither fighter has had a convincing round, that's for sure.
I wonder what they were telling Bigfoot Johnson in the corner. If I was in his corner, I'd say, if you want to win this fight, you're going to have to knock the guy out. I've got him far behind.
Bigfoot lands the right hand there. His biggest problem is that he just hasn't thrown any punches or gone after Douglas. Douglas hasn't been a ball of fire either, but what little aggression there's been in this fight, he's kind of instigated it.
Exactly. And on the few times, maybe 3 or 4 occasions, that Bigfoot has landed the right hand to shake up Buster Douglas, even momentarily, he's never followed it up. I've seen no killer instinct in Bigfoot Johnson. That killer instinct that so many of the great champions have, Roberto Duran, Larry Holmes, Michael Spinks, when they...
Crowd just begging for some activity here.
Still, there's a void in that lower portion of the heavyweight division, around number 25, 30 in the world. The guys are not that talented. And I think if Buster makes up his mind that he is a talent, that he should train hard, you're going to hear a lot more from him. See those jabs that he's throwing, a defensive jab. He's going straight back instead of getting underneath the jab. A sign that he still has some learning to do, plenty of learning. You don't pull straight back from an onrushing locomotive. You step off to the side.
I think we have to go all the way back to round 1 where a punch was thrown that looked like it might do some big damage. After that, it's been a very cautious, slow-moving battle of giants, meat giants. There's a right hand by Douglas to close the bout, and the bell sounds ending this one.
Well, they're hugging each other. That's something they've done since the first round.
Yep, they're quite familiar with each other by now.
I don't think there's any question that Billy Douglas's son, James Buster Douglas, has won his 17th fight. He didn't do it in impressive fashion, although You never know. I've scored the winner wrong so many times before. We're just going to have to wait and see.
Well, this one time when he did not knock out his opponent, 13 of those previous 16 wins by the KO route. Not this time. Of course, he'll settle for a victory nonetheless, for sure.
Sure, these route-going performances do a fighter a lot more good than the first-round knockouts. You just don't learn. Occasionally they're good for your confidence and so forth, but in the long run, the decisions are the ones that count, the route-going performances. And I think Buster Douglas did learn tonight, and there we see a smile from him. I'm curious to find out whether he has learned, and later on I'll talk with him. We'll find out. I hope to see him again soon.
Getting set for the verdict now, here is Hank Kropinski.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this contest by a majority decision, James Buster Douglas.
Well, not a surprise. Buster Douglas make him 17-1-1 right now.
After this fight, Bigfoot takes nearly a year off from the sport, returning to face Tony Tucker, only to be stopped in 2 rounds. After that, he takes a 5-year hiatus from the sport and journeys to Israel to face Mike Evans, who defeats him by decision over 10 rounds. And that's the last we see of Bigfoot. Douglas, meanwhile, returns to the ring 2 months later, but the weaknesses displayed in this bout are exposed in his match against Mike the Giant White, who stops him in 10 rounds. Douglas eventually rebounds, and I'll showcase another one of his lesser-seen fights in an upcoming upload. Thanks for watching.